About 2,000 people were detained in Turkey over the weekend as violent clashes escalated in Istanbul, Ankara and other cities over government plans to redevelop a park. Emre Pekka is joining us from Istanbul. Emre, this is not just about a park, is it?
No, it's not, Nick. It's grown into a broad-based anti-government protest. Essentially, people are pouring into the streets and opposing the government for taking unilateral steps on all matters, ranging from issues like alcohol sales to education, justice packages, and even the peace talks with the Kurds. Disparate groups are viewing the government as acting alone and the prime minister as taking a stance that's more like my way or the highway.
I mean, in other words, the government has been in power for the last 10 years under Prime Minister Erdogan. Is it a case that they're just becoming slightly more heavy-handed here, or changing the rules of engagement?
That's the accusation by the demonstrators, Nick. But the Prime Minister still enjoys very strong support, and he's been reiterating that in the past couple of days in comments, saying that he still enjoys 50% support, and he actually sort of sent a warning sign today saying he's working very hard to keep his backers in check, who keep saying, they want to counter these demonstrations.
Is it a case that he basically just misjudged the response to his policies?
I think so. Speaking to protesters on the ground, it looked like if he just softened his tone, apologized for the police action and all the tear gassing and water cannons, people would be willing to take a step back, especially in light of a court order that halted construction at the park site. But he's been refusing to do so, and I think that's just aggravating the situation more and more.
It is interesting that this has blown up fairly quickly, but apparently social media has played a very big part in this.
Yes, it's partially because there has been not absolutely no coverage, but very little coverage in Turkish media of the protests, which caused an outrage, and people have been organizing via Twitter and Facebook, but that has come with its own problems because there's also a lot of misinformation, Nick, and people are trying to inflame the tensions as well. But by and large, demonstrators have been very careful about trying to stick to the facts and organizing responsibly over social media.
Emre, of course, that's one of the usual risks here. But and as you said, there isn't really any real threat to the Prime Minister at the moment. But is there any threat to the country's image? Turkey has been seen as a fast developing, a fast growing country, attracting a lot of foreign investment. Is that likely to be damaged now?
It's going to be harder to argue that Turkey is a great model for all the Middle Eastern countries in the aftermath of Arab Spring, when you have cops, tear gassing people at short distances, and those getting photographed and broadcast live. But speaking about the stability of the country and long-term consequences, it's unlikely to cause a serious shift in the power structure in Turkey in the short term. And in the long term, although markets tank today, in the long term, I don't think the foreign investors who are really buying into Turkey's growth story will be deterred.
Emre, thank you very much indeed.
Sure thing, Nick.